Buffalo Bills fans, buckle up, because today we're diving headfirst into what I believe could be one of the most complete and explosive offensive seasons in recent franchise memory. That's right, it's time for the 2025 Buffalo Bills stat projections. We're not just looking at box scores or tossing around hot takes here. We're building a detailed forecast, piece by piece, based on what we've seen in camp, what we saw last year, and what this current roster is shaping up to be. Josh Allen, James Cook, Dalton Kincaid, the new-look wide receiver room. It's all on the table today. Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty of how many yards Josh Allen is going to throw for, or how many times Keenan Coleman is going to find the end zone, let's talk about something that really matters here: continuity. Because if there's one word that defines the biggest difference between where we were last season and where we are right now heading into 2025, it's that: continuity. Last year around this time, we were talking about an offense that was being completely restructured on the fly. Joe Brady had just taken over full-time as offensive coordinator. Ronald Curry stepped in as Josh Allen's new quarterbacks coach. We had a reshuffling on the offensive line: Connor McGovern moving over to center and David Edwards taking over at left guard. Stephon Diggs was gone. Gabe Davis? Gone. The receiver room was a clean slate outside of Khalil Shakir. We were watching this team rebuild its chemistry from the ground up. This year, night and day, almost everything is in place. The system is the same. The key players are familiar with one another. The rhythm has been established. Instead of rebuilding, we're refining. Instead of guessing who fits where, we know. The only real additions that need to be integrated are Josh Palmer and Elijah Moore. And even those roles are relatively small tweaks in a larger machine that's already humming. That's a big deal because it changes how we forecast everything, especially when it comes to offensive output. With that kind of consistency, I'm actually expecting this offense to take another step forward. And yes, I know what you're thinking. How much better can it get? This is a unit that already led the league in several key categories last season. But I'm not just making optimistic predictions here. I'm basing this on a very clear and very reasonable expectation of growth, especially in two key areas. First, the deep passing game. Let's not sugarcoat it. 2024 was the worst deep ball season of Josh Allen's career, and it wasn't even close. The chemistry just wasn't there. You can't build a vertical attack overnight with a cast of unfamiliar faces. When the only returning receiver with game experience was Shakir, it's no wonder that timing, spacing, and trust down the field just weren't clicking early in the year. Deep passing requires a level of rapport that takes reps, and last season, they didn't have that. This year, they do. Second, third down conversions. Early in 2024, the Bills were actually struggling pretty badly on third down. It wasn't until the second half of the season that they really started to normalize and finish near the top of the league. I don't expect them to fall into that early hole again this time. With more cohesion and familiarity, I think we'll see them hit the ground running in those high-leverage moments. Combine those two improvements: deeper passing game and better third-down performance, and you've got an offense that's not just dangerous, but efficient and explosive. So let's talk numbers, because every projection has to start with one basic question: how many plays will this team actually run? That's the foundation. That's where it all begins. Last year, the Bills ran 1,025 plays on offense. This year, I'm projecting a modest uptick: 1,061 plays. 36 more offensive snaps, spread across 17 games, is about 2 more plays per game. That may not sound like much, but over the course of a season, it adds up. Now let's split those plays between passing and rushing. I'm projecting 561 passing attempts, which is a solid jump from the 534 they had last season. I'm also projecting 500 rushing attempts, which is up slightly from 491 a year ago. So, yes, I'm expecting a little more volume in both phases. The Bills are going to be aggressive and balanced. And here's where things get really interesting: the shift in pass attempts under Joe Brady. If you go back to the second half of 2023, during the 9-game stretch when Brady took over play-calling duties, Josh Allen was averaging just over 33 pass attempts per game. In 2024, over the full season, that number dipped to just under 30. So it's fair to say that Brady's version of this offense doesn't lean as heavily on Allen's arm as in past years. But even so, I'm predicting Allen returns to that 33 attempts per game mark in 2025, which puts him at 561 for the season. That's the sweet spot. So, with that framework in place, let's get into the meat of this, Josh Allen's stat line. I've got Allen completing 372 of those 561 attempts. That gives him a completion percentage of 66.3%. A nice little bump from the 63.5 he posted last season, and more in line with what we saw in 2023 when he hit 66.1. Not quite the 70% he posted back in 2020, his career best, but a respectable mark that reflects both his growth and the continuity around him. In terms of yardage, I'm projecting 4,250 passing yards, which comes out to about 7.5 yards per attempt. That's ever so slightly down from last year's average of 7.7, but still strong and absolutely in line with where Allen has been his best seasons. This isn't a drop-off. This is about stability and maybe a little more efficiency in where those yards are coming from. As for touchdowns, I got him throwing 33. That puts him right in the sweet spot of his career averages, especially when you consider that his touchdown percentage, the rate at which his passes turn into scores, has stayed very consistent over the years. 5.7% in 2024, 5% in 2023, 6% in 2022. I'm projecting 5.9% in 2025, which gives him those 33 passing touchdowns. Interceptions? I'm going with 10. That's an interception rate of 1.7%, a little bit higher than last year's low of just 6 total picks, but still a very strong number overall. We have to remember that last season's 6 interceptions were a career low for Allen. Expecting him to repeat, that might be wishful thinking. But 10 is a manageable number, still below his marks in 2022 and 2023, and indicative of smarter decision-making and improved situational awareness. So, to summarize Josh Allen's projected line, 561 pass attempts, 372 completions, 66.3% completion rate, for 1,250 yards, 33 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. That's not just good. That's MVP caliber production. Again, and yes, I fully expect Allen to remain in the thick of the MVP race if he hits these numbers. Let's talk targets. Let's talk catches. Let's talk yards and touchdowns. Because now that we know what Josh Allen is bringing to the table through the air, we need to figure out exactly where those 4,250 passing yards and 33 touchdowns are going. And let me tell you, this isn't going to be a one-man show. This isn't the Stephon Diggs era anymore, where the offensive output was funneled through a single elite wideout. This year's passing game, as I see it, is going to be spread across 4 primary players who are going to carry the bulk of the receiving load, with a strong supporting cast sprinkled in behind them. Think of it like a pyramid. Solid foundation at the base, but a clear top 4 leading the charge. Now, the guy I believe leads the team in total targets is Khalil Shakir. 100 targets flat. That's where I've got him. That's the same level he hovered around last season, and I don't think his role is going anywhere. Shakir is the kind of player who brings stability, timing, and chemistry to the offense. Josh Allen trusts him. He knows where he's going to be. He knows the timing on those short and intermediate routes. That trust goes a long way when you're under pressure and looking for a reliable outlet. But here's the thing. Even though I think Shakir gets the most looks, I don't think he's the team's leading receiver in terms of yards. I've got him finishing with 70 catches for 775 yards and 5 touchdowns. That's a strong season, not dominant, but absolutely valuable. Shakir is going to be the glue guy. The engine that keeps the chains moving on third downs. The guy who pops open in zone coverage, who's always in the right spot at the right time. But his role isn't flashy. It's dependable. And with more weapons around him this year, I think his efficiency remains high, but his yardage ceiling gets capped a bit. That said, 5 touchdowns and nearly 800 yards is nothing to scoff at, especially if he maintains his consistency. Behind him, the next most targeted weapon I'm projecting is tight end Dalton Kincaid, 95 targets, which results in 64 catches, 705 yards, and a team-high 7 touchdowns. Yes, I said it, team-high. I think Kincaid takes a step forward this season in red zone production. Last year, Allen just missed him on several potential scores, but the opportunities were there. That chemistry is only going to improve with time, and I expect Kincaid to be a matchup nightmare for linebackers and safeties across the league. He's a route-running technician who understands spacing and leverage, and he's going to be a major factor on those drive-finishing plays near the end zone. 7 scores from the tight end spot is a huge asset, but if we're talking about raw yardage, the deep threats, the big plays, the explosive moments, that's where Keon Coleman comes in. I've got him finishing with 85 targets, 55 catches, and 805 receiving yards. That leads the team in yardage. He also ties Kincaid with 7 touchdowns. That's a big-time debut season for the rookie. Coleman brings a vertical element to the Bills that's been lacking in recent years. He's long, he's physical, he tracks the ball well downfield, and he's not afraid of contact. Now, rounding out the top 4 is Josh Palmer, the newcomer from the Chargers. I've got Palmer landing at 80 targets with 54 receptions, 700 yards, and 5 touchdowns. That's an excellent complementary role. He's not the alpha, he's not the field stretcher, but he's going to be reliable. A smart, polished route runner who knows how to find the soft spots in coverage. His chemistry with Allen will take a little time to develop, and I expect a few missed connections early in the year. But once they get on the same page, Palmer's going to be a steady weapon. Think of him as the chain mover. Not quite the slot guy that Shakir is, but someone who's always working the intermediate windows and finding space against man coverage. So if you're keeping track, that's Shakir, Kincaid, Coleman, and Palmer as the 4 main weapons. All of them with 80 or more targets. James Cook, for instance, is still going to be a factor in the passing game. I've got him at 42 targets, 31 receptions, 300 receiving yards, and 2 touchdowns. That's not a huge roll through the air, but it's consistent. Cook is dangerous in space, and when the Bills scheme up swing passes or screen plays, he's capable of ripping off big gains. Still, I don't expect his target share to grow much, simply because of how deep the receiver room is now. He's more of a bonus than a centerpiece in the passing attack. Curtis Samuel is a bit of a wild card. I have him down for 35 targets, 22 catches, 220 yards, and 1 touchdown. That's about 2 targets per game, which may feel underwhelming given the name recognition, but I think that's where he fits best. He'll be an X factor, a gadget guy, maybe a jet sweep here, a deep shot there. He'll have a couple games where he shows up big, and others where he disappears. I also wouldn't be surprised if he misses a few games due to injury. That's been part of his career pattern. So while he's not a top 4 guy in this offense, he's still a piece of the puzzle. Dawson Knox, the other tight end, is in a similar boat. 30 targets, 20 catches, 200 yards, and 2 touchdowns. That's essentially a red zone role. He's not going to rack up volume. He's not going to stretch the field. But when defenses key in on Kincaid, Knox can slip through the cracks and make a few timely grabs. 200 yards and 2 scores might not sound like much, but if they come in big moments, that production is still extremely valuable. I'm also projecting a handful of other targets, guys like Reggie Gilliam, a backup tight end, maybe a practice squad call-up. I've got that group collectively pulling in 5 catches for 40 yards on 16 targets. Not much, but it fills out the bottom of the depth chart. So what does this all tell us? That this Buffalo Bills passing game is about depth, versatility, and spreading the ball around. The days of funneling everything through one elite receiver are gone. And honestly, that might be the best thing for this team. When defenses can't key on a single weapon, it makes the entire offense harder to stop. You've got size with Coleman, speed with Shakir, red zone precision with Kincaid, route running with Palmer, and behind them, a bench full of specialists ready to step up if called upon. If Josh Allen hits the stat line we discussed earlier, and if this receiving core plays anywhere near these projections, the 2025 Bills could not only match last year's offensive output, they might surpass it. This isn't about playing it safe. This is about building on what worked and fixing what didn't. And that's exactly what this team is doing. Up next, we'll break down the run game. And I've got some spicy thoughts on James Cook, Josh Allen's rushing usage, and how this backfield is going to be managed. You're going to want to stick around for that one. Before we dive back in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest Buffalo Bills updates straight to your screen. And hey, don't hold back. Let us know your thoughts on today's news down in the comments. The NFL world is buzzing with excitement and speculation following the unexpected announcement that Terry McLaurin is joining the Buffalo Bills. Rumors have circulated for weeks about potential trades and roster shifts. And now it seems the speculation has materialized into a concrete move that could redefine the dynamics of the Bills' offensive strategy. McLaurin, widely regarded as one of the most consistent and explosive wide receivers in the league, has been linked with multiple teams over the past offseason. But few anticipated that he would end up in Buffalo, a city already renowned for its passionate fan base and high expectations for playoff success. Analysts are already debating how McLaurin's arrival might alter the Bills' approach to the passing game, considering his unique ability to stretch the field vertically and create separation against tight coverage. Fans have taken to social media in droves, speculating not only about how he will fit into the current roster alongside standout players, but also about the potential implications for team chemistry and leadership. This rumor has ignited a frenzy of discussions across sports networks, podcasts, and fan forums, as everyone tries to predict how this move could influence both immediate results and long-term planning for the franchise, creating an atmosphere of anticipation mixed with cautious optimism. McLaurin's reported transition to the Bills has fueled an endless stream of conjecture regarding quarterback Josh Allen's role and the offensive balance that could emerge from this acquisition. Speculators suggest that McLaurin's presence might force opposing defenses to rethink their coverage schemes, potentially opening up more opportunities for the running game as well as other receivers. This rumor-laden scenario is intensifying the debate around whether Buffalo's coaching staff will adjust its game plans to maximize McLaurin's explosive abilities or maintain the tried-and-true strategies that have brought them consistent success. Insider whispers hint at late-night meetings and strategic discussions behind closed doors, feeding a narrative that the organization is planning not just for a single season, but for sustained dominance. The potential synergy between Allen and McLaurin is a topic of endless discussion, with analysts suggesting that McLaurin's knack for finding soft spots in zone coverage could dramatically enhance passing efficiency and third-down conversions. Meanwhile, fans speculate about everything from jersey numbers to celebratory traditions, further adding to the rumor mill's momentum. Conversations on social media, message boards, and radio shows are saturated with theories, ranging from practical analyses of formations to hyperbolic predictions about championship potential, creating a sense that McLaurin's arrival might represent a paradigm shift in the way the Bills are perceived both within the AFC and across the league. Whispers surrounding McLaurin's integration in a Buffalo's locker room have sparked intense debate among insiders, who suggest that this move is more than a mere roster adjustment. It is a statement of intent. Sports commentators speculate that the acquisition signals the franchise's ambition to dominate the league and create an offensive powerhouse capable of competing at the highest level for years to come. Rumors indicate that behind-the-scenes negotiations were intense, involving multiple teams vying for McLaurin's talents before Buffalo secured a deal, which has now become a hot topic among journalists and analysts alike. Enthusiasts are analyzing every potential scenario, from adjustments to offensive schemes to how McLaurin's presence could alter defensive game plans of rivals who now must account for his ability to stretch the field in critical situations. The rumor mill is fueled further by discussions of his influence on younger players, mentorship possibilities, and leadership dynamics, raising questions about whether this acquisition could have a ripple effect that extends beyond the field. Conversations among insiders often include speculation about contract incentives, performance bonuses, and long-term commitments, feeding a narrative that McLaurin's move to Buffalo is not just transactional, but transformational. As excitement grows, the city itself seems poised to embrace the anticipated impact, creating an atmosphere where speculation and reality blur in a whirlwind of sports anticipation. Further fueling the buzz, speculation about how McLaurin's addition will affect the Bills' playoff aspirations has reached a fever pitch, with analysts suggesting that the move could shift the balance of power within the AFC. Rumors suggest that his ability to break tackles, accelerate after the catch, and consistently produce in clutch situations might transform Buffalo's red zone efficiency and third down success rate. Conversations among sports media insiders speculate about how opposing coordinators will need to adapt, possibly overhauling coverage schemes and personnel matchups to mitigate McLaurin's impact. Fans are not merely observing, but actively engaging in hypothetical scenarios, debating how McLaurin could combine with existing offensive weapons to create mismatches, force defensive errors, and ultimately increase the likelihood of deep playoff runs. The rumor mill extends to debates about coaching philosophy, questioning whether head coach Sean McDermott and offensive coordinator Ken Dorsey will adjust play-calling tendencies to optimize McLaurin's presence or risk maintaining current patterns that might not fully exploit his skill set. Additional speculation focuses on team culture, with insiders suggesting that McLaurin's work ethic, resilience, and competitive edge could influence training routines, practice intensity, and even locker room camaraderie, producing effects that ripple across the roster. As conversations evolve, the anticipation continues to build, leaving both fans and analysts eagerly dissecting every piece of information, looking for clues about how this acquisition will unfold in the coming season. Finally, the swirling rumors surrounding McLaurin's arrival in Buffalo have sparked discussions about broader implications for the NFL landscape, with experts suggesting that this move could trigger a domino effect across the league. Speculation abounds regarding how rival teams might respond through trades, free agent signings, or strategic adjustments, creating an intricate web of potential consequences fueled entirely by McLaurin's perceived impact. Analysts predict that the media frenzy surrounding the transaction will dominate off-season narratives, affecting draft strategies, preseason evaluations, and even the commercial and marketing aspects of the sport. Fans speculate endlessly, projecting touchdown celebrations, record-breaking performances, and potential highlight reels that could define McLaurin's tenure with the Bills. Behind closed doors, rumors persist about tactical meetings, data-driven analyses, and adjustments to offensive line strategies designed to maximize McLaurin's effectiveness while protecting quarterback Josh Allen from increased defensive pressure. That's a wrap for now. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay on top of all things Buffalo Bills, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what you think in the comments. See you in the next update.